All right, today's drill is to work on some of our turn technique for things. We're going to break this down into a few different pieces and build on it. So we're starting with kind of the most simple, basic version, building up to full turns, full chaîné turns, and also turns that maybe feel like some of our setups going into free spins in West Coast swing, for example. So where we're going to start, we want to be sideways. We are going to turn our head and arm at the same time. So I'm focusing out in front like I'm focusing on a partner. And then I'm going to turn my head and point and look at where I'm pointing as I do that. And then I snap back in front of me. So I'm just rotating from straight ahead to pointing down the line, coming back. And this is always going to be our prep going into some of these turns, especially for turns like a chaîné. So if I'm feeling confident with that, I'm going to add another element of now stepping into it a bit. So again, I'm starting straight ahead, but now as I point and look down my line of dance, I'm now going to step in that direction. And then I come back in and I step and I come back in. And we'll do this on both sides. If I'm feeling confident in that, now I'm going to work in a quarter turn. So if I'm facing my side wall, my first turn will have me end up facing the front or towards the camera in this case. So I'm starting sideways, I do that point, and now I come and I collect forward. I point out to the side, I step and collect to that side. So I'm always facing where my fingers are pointing and turning my body to end up in that same direction. Again, I can do this in both directions, working on my quarter turns. Now, quarter turns are starting to feel comfortable. You're feeling in control of it. Now we're going to ramp up to a half turn. Now this is where it starts to get confusing pretty quickly as we work on this. But what we're going to do, starting at the side again, I'm going to turn and point and face. But now, since I started facing that direction, my turn needs to end up facing that direction. So I bypass where I pointed and face the opposite direction. I point and turn, point and turn. Again, we can go the opposite direction, turning each way, point and turn halfway. So we started with just the head and arm going out and coming back in, stepping out with our hand, doing a quarter turn with our hand, and doing a half turn with our hand. So now we're building into our actual chaîné turn. What ends up happening with this is our initiation into the turn is much like that initial step out to the side. Then I'm going to continue my momentum around, facing in the same direction that I started in. So a quarter turn, and then technically doing three quarters turn coming through that. So again, quarter turn and facing where I started from. I can do the same thing to the other side, quarter turn and facing where I started from. As that gets more comfortable, you can work on actually progressing it into full chaîné turns so that it's going to look a little bit like this. We're going to do a turn and come around, turn and come around, turn and come around, all the way down and all the way back. The last element that we can work in here is that feeling of having a bit of connection with a dance partner. If you do styles like West Coast Swing, for example, this could be an example of coming into a prep for a free spin in front of the partner. I'm going to take a resistance band that is anchored to the wall. That is going to go into my hand that is the closest. So now I feel like I have that slight bit of connection pulling down through my lat and the side of my body to kind of squeeze in a little bit there. And then I'm coming out into that prep out to the side where I'm looking away from my partner. But then my partner leads me back in towards my lead so that I'm turning that direction. So I've prepped out and I come in to face the anchor point. Prep out and turn in to face the anchor point. So all I'm doing as I'm coming into that anchor point with that band is coming out and coming into face. It's as simple as that. So those are some different ways to kind of practice engaging some of these muscles, learning how to coordinate our head and our turn and our spotting, going from the very simple just gesturing with the arm, going into a full chaine turn and coming back to face the front. So hopefully that helps you work on some of these foundational skills when it comes to turns and especially traveling turns.